How's it going? It's Mr. Schaefer here. We're back with the one and only Bob. Um, yeah, we're going to start on page 22 today. So we're going to flip back like we always do and check it out. Um, we have on here uh, just few little beginning notes that we have. Bob gave us a little bit about his story of how he ended up with Ivan, right, in his cage with him, sleeping on his belly. He told us a lot, though, about his relationship with humans, kind of so far. Just a little outline of them. He said it was really great, and humans and animals, they always belong together, and they're. But then he kind of shifts a little bit and kind of tells us his story, right, about living in that box with his mom and his brothers and sisters, right? So it was nice and cozy being with his mom. She was the protector. And then the humans, were kind of there for him, but then all of a sudden they ended up in a box in a dark highway, thrown into the cold and the wetness and the rain. Um, and the last thing that Bob said was he was alone. Like, and said it was death and life all mixed together. I searched for my siblings until the truth became clear. I was alone. So we remembered that from Ivan. We knew that his brothers and sisters all didn't make it, and he never saw his mom or dad again that we know of. And that's kind of where we left off, was him being thrown out and in the middle of the wilderness all by himself, freezing cold. Okay, so we're gonna pick up on page 22 here, and we're gonna read just the rest of this chapter 1. Okay, cars. The next morning I began my slow journey, moving through the tall, wet grass, my limbs stiff from the cold. Now and then I'd drink from a mud puddle or gnaw on some grass. By evening I was wobbly with hunger and thirst. I followed the highway. Every time a four-wheeled creature roared by, I froze in fear. And yet, and this is what it slays me, I knew that cars meant humans, and humans meant the possibility of living just as much as they meant the possibility of dying. The owl. Darkness had fallen when it came out of nowhere. The owl. A shadow in a shadow. They don't make a sound, Not a sound. It's quite impressive when you think about it. The owl right here. What's the owl gonna do? Luck. Just as her talons, those marvelous weapons, raked my fur, I caught my right front foot in a small hole and stumbled. If she'd gotten a hold of my body, I wouldn't be here. But all she managed to do was grab my tail. Only time in my life I've ever regretted my handsome hindquarters. I was airborne, hanging upside down, dizzy and dazed, and just crazy enough to think, hey, I'm actually flying, before the terror hit full force. I caught a whiff of the other animals below. Later I found out they were pocket gophers, but back then I just knew I was smelling something completely foreign. The owl must have decided the gophers would make a more satisfying meal. She let loose her grip, and I plummeted to earth. More luck. Maybe it was my puppy fat, or my soft bones, or my incredible good fortune. But I didn't die. Didn't even break anything. I'd flown twice in my short life, and lived to tell the tale. Yeah, so how's he flown twice? He flew out of the car, right, in a box, got thrown out, and now he's got picked up by an owl. Bob's been through some stuff, man. Will. I found a small hollow at the base of a fallen tree, poked my nose in, and got a swat and a hiss from a grouchy raccoon. Kept going, waddling, whimpering. Lights ahead, new strange smells. kept going, kept going. It's amazing how much the sheer will not to die can keep you moving. Exit 8. I finally came to a small road curving off the main highway. Exit 8, it turned out to be. A big billboard overhead had a picture of a terrifying animal on it. Of course, I didn't know what the billboard was. Didn't know that the scary animal was a gorilla, let alone that he would become my dearest friend. Something told me to follow that off-ramp. And eventually I ended up at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan. History. I made it to the mall. Slept in a dirty hay by some garbage bins. The next night I found that hole in Ivan's cage, stole his banana, slept on his belly, and the rest, they say, is history. For 2 years, I lived at that seedy old place that was part mall, part circus, and all crummy. That was nothing compared to Ivan. He spent 27 lousy years there. And our dear friend Stella, an old circus elephant, was stuck there for most of her life, too. When Stella passed away, it nearly broke Ivan's heart. I tried like crazy to get him through those dark days. But what really saved him, I think, was Ruby, our baby elephant friend. Before Stella died, Ivan promised her he'd get Ruby out of that awful place. And to my amazement, he actually pulled it off. Ivan and Ruby had a bunch of our old pals ended up going to different places, zoos, and sanctuaries that knew how to take care of them. They're with others of their own kind, and they loved and were well cared for. It's been over a year now since we all moved, and they all seem much happier. Oh, that makes so they've been out for a year now. So this is kind of Bob's been going back and forth between like his old life and now kind of telling him how he met him. So now we realize that it's been about a year since he's seen them. Me, I lucked out. My girl Julia, whose dad had worked at the mall, decided her family needed a dog. Who was I to argue? 2 square meals, my own bed, all the belly rubs I could beg for. What dog in his right mind would say no to that? Best part is, we don't live far from Ivan and Ruby. I get to see them all the time. I'm glad they're nearby, and I'm thrilled they've settled in so well. Really, it's a solid situation. But it's not a perfect one. Tennis ball. The way I understand things, it's like this. We live on a lonely ball called Earth, and humans have basically been throwing it against the wall for so long that the poor old ball has fallen apart. It's like me with a tennis ball, chewing away until there's nothing but pieces of slimy rubber that taste like, well, slimy rubber. And that means there aren't as many places left for wild animals. Seems like there are good zoos and bad zoos, and good sanctuaries and bad sanctuaries, just like there's good dog families and bad dog families. The good places are trying to keep wild species healthy and safe. They don't want endangered animals to go away forever. They also don't want the earth to turn into a slimy, dilapidated tennis ball. Although, honestly, slimy rubber doesn't taste half bad. You should try it sometime. The thing is, I would give anything to see my dear pal Ivan deep in the jungles of Africa, where he was born, or to see Ruby running across the savannah in a herd of elephants, her big old ears flapping in the wind. I'd give up a mile-high pile of bacon cheeseburgers to see that happen. I really would. But it ain't happening. I get that. And so do they. When you're an animal, it helps to be a realist. guys, that is the end of chapter 1. So that's where we're going to stop. All right. And to me, I feel like this is picking up even more, right? I didn't know they were that close to Ivan. I didn't know that they were, it's been a year since he's seen them. So he's kind of got us caught up on that also. What you think about that last line? When you're an animal, it helps to be a realist. You know what that means to be a realist? It means to not to be some crazy dreamer, right? I mean, this is going to be great. This is going to happen. We're going to do this and that. A realist means like, I know what's real. I know what's probably going to happen, and that's it, right? So, understandable, right? Considering what we've heard so far about Bob and his kind of tragic puppyhood, childhood, whatever you call it. That's going to be it for it right there, guys. All right. So hopefully you're enjoying it, and we will start chapter 2 next time.